Hello, beautiful, vibrant souls. I'm so glad that we could join together today. I have been pulling cards this morning for my own readings and made a few different attempts to do collective readings, and each card pull felt like I was being so harsh. It was so much like what you put in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out. And it's a lot of tough love kind of energy, and I was just like, I feel like I'm being mean because it's like I make driving home these points that make sense, but they're not the type of points that people want to take accountability for, because it's such a huge level of responsibility that, yeah, your mindset and your effort are what ultimately result in what happens to you, and for myself as well. When I'm frustrated about situations, have you ever noticed that if you wake up in the morning and you stub your toe and you keep that your irritated energy, that like you start dropping stuff and things spill and this doesn't work, and it seems to like accumulate, it snowballs. That's how the energy works, and it's such a downer to sometimes explain these things to people. They just want these like really pretty, beautiful lessons all the time. And I was just like, man, it feels so harsh. So I put the cards aside and I was contemplating, like, how do I get this message out? Like, how do I present the type of message to people that's going to drive home for them what needs to be said without feeling like I'm being so mean. Um, Not that I am mean, I'm just passing along the messages from the cards. So I caught my Egyptian deck, and I was like, let me just pull a card from that and see what it comes up. And truth and fairness. It was like, you're not running from this. You're gonna talk about this. What you put in, you get out. These are concepts of physics. These are scientific concepts. These are concepts of energy that they're undeniable laws. You cannot overcome these laws. You are going to get an equal amount of good out of the good work that you do as you will negativity out of the damaging consequences of things that you choose with that energy. And there's no way around it. It's just like there was no way for me to find a different message in the cards. I was trying to find some easy way to explain this and some nice way to put it for people. But if you put all this time into feeling bad about things, complaining about things, thinking about all the worst things that can happen, poor me, pity stories, and feeling bad for yourself and being angry at other people, that's what you're going to get out of life. Like, if you go to therapy, it doesn't matter how many times your therapist gives you a specific coping mechanism to deal with depression or anxiety or what have you. If you never actually utilize that method in the real world, you're not going to see any benefit from it. But that's not the therapist's fault. They can't they can't force you to utilize the skills that they're giving you. They're handing them to you and you're just like, they don't work. Well, you don't even try them. It's like going to the nutritionist or a dietitian and them telling you exactly what you should and shouldn't be eating, and then you go home and eat the wrong things and blame them for not losing weight or gaining weight. They can't bind your hands and stop you from eating things that you're not supposed to be eating. They can't force you to eat the things that you're supposed to be eating. That's you. It's your responsibility. And that is the truth. And that is what fairness is. It's honest, truthful, deliberate accountability for what you're doing in or what you're not doing in your own life. Magic can only go so far as the recipient is willing to allow. Now, this goes for bad magic when somebody's trying to use negative magic against you. If you say that's not going to affect me, absolutely not. I'm more powerful than that. That's the truth. And you put that energy in combating it. And on that same note, if you put this energy in and say, all this beautiful stuff is going to happen to me, it's going to happen to me, it's going to happen to me. Yes, that is the truth because that's what you're putting into it. And that affects your mindset in the way where you make choices that benefit and add to the power of that. So it doesn't matter how good my spell work is. If I'm doing spell work, say I'm doing spell work for a love connection, but this person keeps they're sabotaging the connection every chance they get because they're just, well, that spell is going to work. No, it's not. It's like I can't undo what you're actually doing. I can't force you to do the things that you're supposed to do if you're not feeling them and going with what you feel. You're the one who's ultimately responsible for how that turns out. You are the most powerful player in your world. You are the most powerful magician. You're the witch. You're the manifester. You're the alchemist. You're the creator. Nobody else is ever going to be more powerful than you are. Nobody. So, yeah, this is the tough love message. This is the message of, I don't know what you want me to do for you if you're not willing to do it for yourself. And stop blaming everybody else. It's you that's shadow work. You got to figure out why you are not putting in the work, why you are self-sabotaging yourself. And if you're out there doing a good job and you're doing the work, you're not sitting here blaming anybody else and feeling bad for a situation. When things are going well, you feel really good, right? You're willing to take all the accountability for that. Things are going well, that's me. But when things are going badly, well, that's something else. There's just no other way to put it, I guess. How it is, truth and fairness. So I hope that you take this with the energy that it's meant to be taken, to empower you to do the things that you need to do to make your life better. We're going to keep this one simple. We're just going to do this one. Trust in divine detours. I love this card. Because this card is such a reminder for when things feel like they're just, they don't look the way that I expected. You know, like I thought it was going to turn out different and it didn't. You're still on path. It just, all of a sudden you're taking a different route. If you were able to see all the things that spirit could see, you probably would be a little overwhelmed. It would be too much to take in. It might even scare you because then you'd have to look at what potential you have to both have the most amazing life that you could possibly have or have the worst possible life that you could imagine. But spirit sees it all, and spirit says, no, I'm going to do everything possible to drive this person to their highest calling, to the fulfillment, to the bliss, to the peace and the love that they deserve, even when they're making really dumb choices, even when they don't know which way they're going. I'm going to do everything possible. So they saw something they wanted and they embarked upon this journey and they ended up on this path. And this path is very well traveled. It's very obvious. This is how you get there. For you, there's a little bit more to it. There's a little bit better outcome, or perhaps you're meant for something a little bit different. Perhaps nobody's ever really been to where you want to be before. And since it's your unique life, let's just assume that's true, right? So you're cruising down this path, and Spirit is like, it's gonna take them so much longer doing this, and they're gonna be derailed and defeated, and they're gonna deal with all these struggles, and they already learned this lesson. They don't need this. I'm gonna take them on a detour. We're gonna go this way instead. So you're getting dragged through this untamed path. You've never seen it before. Nobody around you's ever seen it before. But along the way, you're learning like unique lessons about this journey. Lessons that no other people would be necessarily learning. These are just, they're curated just for you. Just for you. They're very, very detailed. You're still going to end up where you want to end up. It's just, this lesson was cultivated for you. This path was curated to make the most of what you're going to get out of it personally. So when things don't look the way you expected, or they take a detour, or it doesn't turn out the way you thought it was going to, there's a lesson in that. There's something that you're supposed to get from that. And there's a reason that it happened that way. Maybe you did not get this job because you're going to go revamp your resume and you're going to apply for a bunch of other jobs that you didn't initially apply for. And one of those jobs is actually the right job for you. But you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't have been denied the opportunity that you thought was right for you. You didn't get to see all the details, only Spirit could. And it would have been too much for you to process. And you might have even been scared away from the potential of that other opportunity. So Spirit didn't show you that. Instead, you just went your way and you got denied, so you'll go this way. Now you go this way, and now you'll end up where you need to be. You won't be scared off and you won't be overwhelmed. You're just going to go that way because you're being dragged along this detour, learning lessons that are meant for you. We have to trust in these detours. We have to trust that when these things occur, there's a lesson in it for us. There's something greater at the end of it for us. There's something unique just for us at the end of this. And if you're feeling bad about the situation, you're not truly trusting the path. You're complaining the whole way. You don't really believe that it's right for you. The only way to demonstrate to Spirit that you do trust and believe is to feel good about this choice, is to have gratitude for what's occurred. I did not get that job, Spirit. Thank you so much for averting me from something that was less than what I deserved. Thank you for showing me that there's more work that I need to put in, that I'm going to end up exactly where I need to, and I trust and allow that that is going to occur for me. Thank you for that. Because when we say thank you, then we really do believe that what's happening is for our best. It's for our highest path. It's for our highest calling. It's a tough lesson to learn, and I've lived it enough times to know that there's no disappointment that doesn't come with some win if I approach it in the right mentality. Like, if I feel disappointed, I have to appreciate it. I have to say thank you. Because there's been times that I have averted crisis and danger and all kinds of things that I never would have seen coming, only to end up in a place where I was so much happier than I thought I could possibly be. So now when things happen and it's not what I expected, I just go, well, Spirit sees something that I don't. Thank you. Thank you for that detour. Because I would have never gone down this road, but I'm going to see what's down here because you've got something for me or I wouldn't be here. Got our archetype deck here, and we've got our shapeshifter. If you would have asked me when I was 17 years old, if I saw myself living the life that I'm living right now, I would have laughed at you. If you told me the things that I would talk about in my readings and that I believed and the things that I felt were real, I would have said, what a fool. There's been so many times that I've adapted to life and the experiences that I've had. Every time things change, it's caused a slight change in me. But I've never looked at this as a bad thing. I've always looked at this as an evolution. And through evolution, there are some things that don't work out real well and they don't really last. And then there's other things that work out so well that they just become a new genetic foundation. It makes sense that sometimes you have to kind of trial and error different parts of life. With that, you're just going to gain some perspective about why that doesn't work. It allows you some personal experience, some deliberate, intentional, like, this is why. And then you go to the next phase and you're like, okay, well, this doesn't work because of this. I wonder, and then you're a little bit more open to that next shifting and changing. I don't think we're supposed to ever stop growing. I think we're always supposed to continue healing and adjusting and adapting and building on our perspective and our wisdom. I think that's one of the most beautiful things that life has to offer us, that we're here to experience every part of it. I think if I was still the same person I was when I was a teenager, I'd be very bored with life by now. And it's only because of all these experiences and me welcoming these experiences, even the ones that didn't go anywhere. You know, there was a period of time that I thought I was going to be a tattoo artist and body piercer for the rest of my life. I was absolutely convinced of that. And I committed my entire life to that. And over time, it stopped fitting so well. As I gained experience and perspective, I started to see that there were things that I hadn't yet experienced. And I wanted to. It didn't feel like life was going to be complete unless I had this opportunity to do something else. And what I was doing wasn't allowing for that. It was like being in a mold that I was being stifled. It was like a little hermit crab in a shell that was too small. And the only way that you can really break out of that is to leave that shell and go in a very vulnerable position and put yourself out there and see what else is out there for you, and just to give it a chance. Maybe you put on a shell and that shell don't fit so good, and you don't like that shell. Maybe not. So you get rid of that shell and you keep going, and eventually you'll find one that works for you. And after a while, you might outgrow that shell too. I remember recently thinking that I could go back and have the life that I used to have. Only when I got back there, it wasn't the same as I remembered it. It didn't feel like the same way I thought it was going to feel. And it's not bad. It wasn't a bad feeling. It just didn't feel like home anymore. It just didn't feel like what I was supposed to be doing. It felt like I had gotten everything out of those experiences that I was going to get. And I'm so changed from who I was back then that I can't experience that in that same way again. Maybe there's some change that I could experience, or there's something that I could gain from it, but it just didn't feel like it was there. It felt like I was going to find it somewhere else. I think you should be proud of the fact that you're not the same person that you were. And you should be proud of all those growing pains. And you should be proud of all those times that you became very vulnerable and you decided that things weren't working out for you and that you needed to do something different. You wanted something different for yourself, that you changed your mind, that you learned something new, and from it, things shifted perspective. I think that's one of the greatest things that we get to experience in this planet, in this existence, is how much we change and grow. And as a manifester, as a creator, as an alchemist, you're embodying this with your mindset. I think it's a really beautiful thing. You can see in this card, it even there's so many different layers and blending of all this perspective. That to me just adds to the richness of life. That to me just, a part of who I am is that shapeshifter. That person who used to be and then was this, and then who used to be and was this, and then who used to be and was this. And I anticipate fully that over the course of my life, there's going to be a lot more of that. I've still got more time to go. So some of the things that I hold true today, I may not still agree with. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's evident of me taking in these lessons and using them to my advantage. Thank you for sharing with me today. And I hope that we are able to continue on this healing journey together for much longer time. And I look forward to it next time.